It has been quite a week for President Trump. What started with a Twitter ceasefire and an address to Congress that had many pundits gushing. Then came a visit to Virginia Beach to talk about military spending. And then back to denials and a recusal and new questions about ties to Russia. Joining me now are two people with special insights into both President Trump and his supporters. We have with us Doug Wead, who's a presidential historian and author of the book Game of Thorns, the inside story of Hillary Clinton's failed campaign and Donald Trump's winning strategy. Also with us, columnist and political researcher Diane Hassan. She worked for the Clinton campaign last year, touching base with a group of undecided voters in battleground states to trace their decision-making. She is now engaging in a similar study of Trump voters. Thanks, both of you, for being here. Really looking forward to this conversation. So, Doug, let me just start with you. Do you think that President Trump and his team, from the vantage point of the White House, think that things are going well?
Oh, well, they're never perfect. When you're in the White House, there's all kinds of acrimony. You know, I've worked in the White House, so it's never perfect. But I think they're pleased that it's working. I'll give you a little insight into that. In Game of Thrones, I would go to
Game of Thorns.
Game of Thorns.
Game of Thrones is a great HBO TV show. Anyway,
that's right. A makeup lady in another show said, "My husband loves your movie on Netflix." I said, "I think you got the wrong one." But anyway, I would go to sources in the tower, and I'd say, "You're off message. This isn't working." They'd say, "No, we're on message." I said, "Well, the tweet that he just did, that's off message." They say, "You don't know what the message is. The message is, number one, jobs, make America great again, and number two, I'm not a politician." So when he's off message, he's on message. So he's got a lot of rough edges. They don't worry about it. We've had two very smooth politicians, they would say, of the last two presidents. Poor got poor, the rich got richer at an accelerated rate under both presidents. And a lot of people were fed up with corruption and they wanted to turn the table over. So when there's controversy, it doesn't seem to discourage their base. So are they completely satisfied? You can be sure they're not.
Right. But they are generally pleased. And let's talk about his base. Diane, how are the Trump voters that you speak with on a regular basis, how are they feeling about how he's doing?
Well, you know, I've been speaking with, I've got 150 Clinton voters, 150 Trump voters, and I speak to them at least once a week.
That's great.
And the interesting thing is, of course, you already know this, the Clinton voters, for the most part, kind of feel like it's Armageddon.
Yeah.
The Trump voters are happy.
Yeah, they feel good.
They feel good. So, you know, remember during the campaign, their tagline was, "I like him because he tells it like it is." And now what they're saying is, "I'm really, really happy with him because he's doing everything that he said he was going to do."
That's interesting.
So, you know, that's the general feeling. There's one chink in the armor. You know, they like the policies. They like the signal about lower taxes and jobs. They like what happened with Carrier. They like the immigration ban. They feel like our borders are too porous. They do worry about what they call the sloppiness with which things are getting done.
Like the rollout of the travel ban, for example.
Especially the rollout of the travel ban, where people are saying, well, you know, my grandmother always said haste makes waste. Yeah. Or he's a businessman, I wish he would just think a little bit about, you know, does the right hand know what the left hand is doing? So they're a little worried about the haphazardness with which they see things going on, but otherwise, it's pretty good.
So, Doug, let me ask you. Obviously, President Trump's supporters, according to polls and according to Diane's research, are happy. Mm-hmm. Is that enough? I mean, obviously, he didn't win the popular vote. Doesn't he need to expand his base both to govern effectively and also if he wants to be reelected?
I think that he does. But to give you just a little perspective, one of the sources in Game of Thorns, not Thrones, Game of Thorns, I talked to today on the train coming down from New York. I said, well, how do you feel? It's going great, going great. What about Russia? What's your feeling about Russia? He said, wait a second, let me get this, understand the narrative. Trump is a Russian spy, and the first thing they've had him do is increase military spending. They're just cynical about what they're hearing. They're not accepting it. They know he has to expand his base. They think that eventually he will, and they liked the speech to the joint sessions of Congress and think that's a sign of what could come.
Interesting. And Diane, you point out that there are a lot of Clinton voters out there who think oh, if they want to meet a Trump voter, they probably have to drive to Michigan, or they have to drive to Pennsylvania or Alabama or whatever.
Right.
And you point out, you really don't have to look that far.
No, I mean, there is a narrative in the U.S. right now that the Trump voters are these unemployed white guys with red hats, you know, somewhere in the Midwest, probably, you know, former coal miners. And they are all over the place. A lot of people know this because they'll say to me, well, you know, in my family, we have issues. People talk about having friendships drop and things like that, but the Trump voters are all over the place. There are, you know, white women and young people and black men and Latinos and Muslims, and some of those people hid for a while.
Right.
You know, they tell me that they weren't really willing to talk to anybody about what their inclinations were, and of course, a lot of them lied to pollsters.
Interesting. Doug Wead and Diane Hessen, great discussion. Thank you. The book again for where was there? Okay, Game of Thorns. Thank you so much. Good to see you guys. Hope to have you back.
Jay.
You're good together too.